Okay, we finally have a game. C4, C6. In the last game, my OBS was a bit messed up, so it didn't record the times and everything, so hopefully everything works. My opponent's rating is 2500. Okay. Let's focus. Let's play the reverse London system and let's try to cross 2300 finally. I've been so close 3 times. Oof. My opponent can take, go queen b3, I'll go knight c6, queen b7, bishop d7, queen b3, e5. Okay, good. Queen b3 first. That's a little less scary. When they go queen b3 first, that's not as critical, because I can now go queen b6. Taking first, and I'm going to show you that line is one of my favorite lines in my repertoire. And here, of course, c4 is possible, but I can safely take the queen, and there's no b4, b5, because I have knight a6, because the bishop is on g2. Okay, this all seems fine. Now I'm gonna go e6. My opponent wants to play bishop e3. So e6, bishop e3, queen b3, a b3, knight a6. Maybe I can take on c4 first. But no, wait. e6, bishop e3, queen b3, a b3, knight a6. I'm not sure I like knight a6. Focus. e6, bishop e3, queen c7. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go queen c7. I don't think I trade queens here. Can I actually throw in bishop b4? So bishop e3, bishop b4, knight c3, or knight fd2. Yeah, I'm thinking queen c7. Queen b3, a b3, knight a6. How does that look? Queen b3, a b3, knight a6, castles. No knight b4 because of takes. Queen c7 or queen b3. Queen b3, a b3, knight a6. Okay, I'm doing that. I'm doing that. This is a typical pattern when the bishop is on g2 and unable to take on a6. I have to guard my a pawn, and I have to play against b4, and if I manage to play bishop b4 at some point after the knight has moved, that's going to be a tempo, but for now I think this is fine. I can also continue with c5, d4 at some point, but then I have to watch out for my b7 pawn. Typically, if you can prevent b4, b5, you can take on b3. That's the usual pattern. Let me just make sure it's recording everything. I hope it's recording everything. The last game was so messed up. I had to edit in the times for each move. It took me 2 hours to do that properly. And I'm not even sure it's good enough. But yeah, what can I do? Almost equal on the clock. My coffee is cold. I should have reheated it. I can't wait to get home to have my espresso machine again. I'm drinking mocha coffee here, which is fine, but it's not the best thing in the world. Okay, I kind of like bishop g4, since there's no e4. Takes, 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 takes. Is my knight loose? I don't think so. Takes, 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 takes. Bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, g4, bishop g6. Yeah, let's provoke some weaknesses. I mean, if I'm gonna lose the bishop pair, this is my bad bishop, so that's fine. And I may also at least provoke h3, g4. I see no point in bishop b4 check because the knight wants to come out to c3 anyway. Now my opponent mustn't move the g2 bishop because knight g4 wins a pawn. My opponent has the bishop pair, but I feel like that's fine. I don't think I'm any worse. Can I throw in knight b4 now? Knight b4 castles, knight c2, rook a7, rook a7, bishop a7, no, it doesn't work. Because the king is on g1, knight e3 would not be check. Okay, so if cd, I play ed. That much is clear to prevent knight b5. I cannot go knight b4 because of rook a7. So where do I develop my dark squared bishop? I don't want it on b4. Do I want it on c5? Bishop c5, knight c5. There is b4. And then knight b3, rook a3. No, definitely not. Do I want it on d6, running into c4? I'm not sure. But d6 seems like the most promising square, so I'm gonna do that anyway. I don't see a better square. And do I keep my king on e7, d7, c7, g8, c8? Castle's queenside isn't possible because of bishop a7. At least for now. What I would love to do is play knight b4 and a5 to get rid of this pressure on a7. But I don't see that happening. So I may have to consider something like knight d7, knight c5, putting pressure on b3 in a position where b4 is still defended. And then that will provoke either d4 or something. I don't know. I'm kind of happy with my knights. I don't think it's a big deal that my opponent has this light squared bishop on g2. And it's still unclear to me where we should put our kings. So my opponent's rated 2507. That's my rating goal, plus 7 points. So if I want to reach this goal, I have to be able to play against these guys. I have to match their strength. So we're going to act like our strength is equal. And I have a comfortable position. And I'm up a minute on the clock. So let's win this game. Come on. Now technically my a6 knight can move now when it comes to the b4 advance. But it's still needed to defend a7. I've played these reverse London system positions in at least 50 tournament games and in at least, I want to say, 3,000 online games on my training account, and I know them pretty well. I know the patterns pretty well, but sometimes I get passive positions in which I cannot find an active plan easily. So for example here, everything is fine. I don't think I have any issues, but what do I do? That's my problem in these positions. What's my plan going forward? Do I play for e5, c5, b5? Where do I want my king? It's hard to make progress. It seems like I'm not in danger of being worse, but how can I be better? Okay, my opponent defends g4, although it was already defended because the rook's defended, so I don't understand this move. I need a place for my king. I feel like moving my king towards the queen side is the way to go. So I'm looking at king d7. Maybe bishop f3 prepares g5, I don't know. g5, knight h5, bishop takes, rook takes? Is that the point? I doubt it. I really don't get bishop f3. So if king d7, then g5, knight h5, bishop g4 could be slightly annoying, but then I can go king c7, but then I may be running into knight b5 checks. So should I go knight d7 for knight c5? Knight d7, something, knight c5. What's my knight on f6 doing? It's defending d5, but d5 is defended sufficiently. So knight d7, if I manage to play knight c5, then b3 is hanging. The only move is rook a3, and then I can... I don't know what, but I'll have discoveries on the rook. So I think I go knight d7. Maybe. I don't know. I also have knight e5, using this bishop on f3 as a target. And maybe... Okay, I'm also controlling g4 if I play knight e5. So probably my opponent plays d4 here. I'm expecting d4, but after d4, my a7 pawn is defended. So I will have knight b4. Yeah, my structure is solid. As long as I have b4 under control and c6 cannot be undermined, that's fine. Oh, maybe my opponent wants to move the dark squared bishop, play e3, and then play bishop e2 to set up d4, c5, bishop takes a6. Maybe. But after d4 I can move my knight. 2 minutes up on the clock. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I don't think I've ever beaten a 2500 player on Lichess. Maybe once. Then again, I haven't played many of them. Probably just a couple. Maybe my opponent goes knight a4. But then I may have... No, I never have b5. What am I talking about? Okay, so probably d4. Probably d4. The tractor guy already went by before I started playing, so that's good. But I'm still sorry about the cars. I'm up 3 minutes on the clock. For once, I'm quicker than my opponent. Also, if bishop d2 or bishop g5, e3, d3 is weak, so knight c5 is stronger. In these English/Reti fianchetto positions, it's usually hard to hold on to d3 if you play e4. Four minutes up on the clock. I'm gonna need it. I know I'm gonna need it. This is move 14. Yeah, d4 was probably necessary. But now I have knight b4. And my opponent probably plays king d2 or king d1. Knight b4, king d2, let's say. And now the fact that I don't have a light squared bishop becomes important. So c5 is also an issue at this point. So my bishop is about to be chased away. So I may have to consider playing f6 here. f6 for g5 to prevent an easy h4. So f6, I think my opponent has to play g5 against that. f6, g5, weakening g6. f6, g5. f6, g5. I don't like that. So if c5 bishop moves, then b4 is an option. So maybe my knight has to stay on a6. But I can play knight b4, a5 now. Knight b4, c5, bishop c7, rook a4, a5. Seems okay. Although that is kind of committal. Is my opponent gonna go g5? I think so. So if f6, g5, I probably have to play f5. How can I play g5? If I had two moves, I'd play f6, g5. But I don't have two moves. So f6, g5, let's say king f7. f6, g5, king f7, with the idea of playing maybe bishop e7, knight f8, knight h7 to put pressure on g5. f6, g5, king f7. Okay, I'm gonna do that because I don't see anything better. f6, g5, king f7. bishop g4, the pawn is defended, and I also have rook e8. Okay, that seems okay. And again, if my opponent does not play g5, I play g5. Because I want to set up a blockade of the h-pawn. I want to fix the h-pawn and restrict this bishop. If I can play g5, this bishop's no good. Unless f4 comes. But then we trade a bunch of stuff and I get rid of my doubled pawns. And if g5 now, then king f7, and on gf6 I can play gf6 and doubling my pawns. And also white would have an isolated h-pawn. Oh, okay. Wants to play e4. Oh yeah, wants to play e4. So maybe not, I have not expected this. So what if I go g5 now? g5, e4. Takes, knight takes. No, I don't like that. So if I play knight b4, then king d1, and the threat is c5, bishop c7, knight takes d5. Or no, knight takes d5 doesn't work, but knight e4 could work. Oh. g5, e4. King f7. Let's say king f7. e4. Takes. Knight takes. Bishop b4. Yeah, but then there's knight d6 check. e4 is coming. I don't want to play f5. I don't want to play f5. Why did I play f6 if I go f5 now? If I go knight b4, that just helps my opponent play e4 because they go king d1. I have completely missed. I mean, I saw that my opponent can play bishop d2 and prepare e3. I just didn't consider e4. Maybe I should go f5. If f5, then my opponent can still move the bishop and play f3. And then e4. But not before the g-pawn is defended. Okay, king f7 or g5, e4. Yeah, I cannot allow that. e4 is very scary. I'm playing f5. I hate f5, but I'm still gonna play it. I don't want to allow e4. I just don't want to allow e4. Let's make my opponent work for e4. I'm not happy with my decision, and obviously I'm not happy that I've played f6 and f5, but I'm very afraid of e4. And I don't have a light squared bishop, so it's not such a big deal, and my dark squared bishop is fine. And I'm down on the clock. No, it's equal. But I was up 4 minutes. So probably now bishop g2, f3, e4. But the problem is that on f3 I can play f4. So with bishop g2, king f7, f3, f4, and then e4 I take en passant. Okay, e3 I'm happy to see. So now, let's go king f7. I don't understand e3. I don't get e3. I'll just go king f7, improving my king. And I want to go knight f6, knight e4. Or knight f6 takes. Could I have gone knight b4 now? Oh, my opponent weakened d3. I could have gone knight b4. Knight b4, king e2, knight c2. No, there was probably nothing there. But my opponent couldn't have played king d1 because of knight d3. But okay, now knight b4 is a bit more scary because d3 has been weakened. Rook's connected, the knight has f6, the bishop is great, the knight on a6 is great. Okay, actually, the only problem I have is that I've played f6 and then f5, but I actually like f5 now. I think, especially after e3, which I don't get, I think my opponent should have gone f3, e4. Come on, come on, come on. Let's win this game. Concentrate. A minute up on the clock. More than a minute. Okay, makes sense. I'll go knight f6. Because my knight's pretty useless on d7. Obviously, I'm never afraid of g5 or gf5, because gf5 undoubles my pawns and g5 allows an easy target. What? So what if I go knight e4? My opponent goes h4. Knight e4, if knight takes, then f takes? Well, I mean, I can also go knight h5. I actually like knight h5. Because I may have knight g3 or knight f4 at some point. Yeah, I don't want to trade. I don't want to have to recapture with. Oh, my opponent has knight b5. At some point. Okay, no, I'm playing knight h5. I don't want to allow this pawn to advance, so let's set up tricks with knight g3 and knight f4. And also bishop e7 will provoke h4. And then h4 will be a fixed target with my knight on h5. The only question is, do I want to trade my bishop? Do I want to go bishop b4 before c5 is played? Not really, because then bc3. Okay, makes sense. So I can go knight c7 now. I don't need to go knight b4. Knight c7, rook ha1, a6, b4, rook e8, b5, takes, pawn takes. Okay, that works. I'll just get rid of the pin. So rook ha1, a6, b4, rook e8, b5 takes. No, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What am I talking about? Wait, maybe it does work. Oh yeah, I can just recapture with the knight. Okay, it does work. I'm in time to move my rook away. Even though my opponent has 2 rooks lined up, I'm in time to move my rook to e8. Or b8, or wherever. I don't know, I think I'm fine. Rook ha1, a6, b4. Okay, my opponent wants to trade bishops. Is that correct? I did not expect this. I don't know exactly what this does. Yeah, so I'll just go a6. I mean, b4 could have been played on the previous move. I may also go b5 here. b5, rook a5. No. Wait, b5? Does my opponent have to take b5? Well, technically I do win a pawn. No, c6 is hanging. c6 is hanging. No way. Okay, I'm going a6. Because now b5, I can play b5. So knight b4, b5, and I'm attacking the rook. Okay. So king e7, so that c6 is better defended, seems okay. My king isn't really needed on the king side anymore. Oh no, oh, Jesus, king e7, c5 wins the bishop. Okay, but let's throw in this tempo. Okay, now my king is a bit closer. I almost hung my bishop with king e7 there. Wow. Okay. I'm very happy to see this knight on b4 because there's no b4. Now, I should try rerouting my knight to e4. So knight e8, probably c5, but then e5 becomes easier to play. So let's do that. If c5... Oh, the knight's coming in. The knight's coming in. No! No! Well played. Oh, extremely well played. Oh, this is gonna be a problem. Oh, I'd completely underestimated this. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna lose my g6 pawn. But the least I can do is go knight d6, knight f7, and when knight g6 I can take. I think that's my best chance. Because when the knight lands... So now... Okay, I don't even have a square to move my knight to. And I cannot move my rook. Oh my god. I was desperately trying to play knight f7, but yeah, I had completely miscalculated this. Okay, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. It is over. Good game. No. Very well played by my opponent. Oof, my glasses are blurry. Well played. Oh my god, this was a really nice idea. I've completely missed that the g6 pawn cannot be defended and then the knight is coming into e5. This was a really nice game. A really nice game. So let's start from here. Can you guys see this? Yes. My opponent had 2 inaccuracies. I had 1 blunder. I wonder what my blunder was. So let's see. This is still theory. Let's turn on the engine. Bishop e3. A b3. Knight a6. Okay. This is all fine. I think I've played this exact position before. I should have gone g5, but f5 is also okay. I was afraid of g5, e4, and what now? Oh, wait, king e2? What happens on king e2? Ah, d4 is hanging. I didn't see that d4 is hanging. Okay, but f5 is okay. I'm surprised to see that e3 is the best move. I don't understand e3 at all. I mean, I didn't understand. Now I see that d4 is a problem, but... Wait, king f7 is a mistake? Okay. Let me turn off the variation arrows. That's so annoying. Okay, knight f6 is a mistake. Knight h5 is a blunder? Okay, I'll tell you what I didn't want to see happening. I didn't want to see this. I was gonna take with the f pawn, and I didn't like this. But yeah, now that I see taking with the d pawn, that makes a lot more sense. And knight h5 is a mistake. Yeah, my opponent found this incredible plan. Knight a2, b4, d3, e5, resigns. This is an amazing plan. Really well played strategically by my opponent. This is my biggest weakness. I haven't even considered it to be a weakness. And then he exchanged the bishop on b4 and landed the knight into e5. And I wasn't even aware what was going on. Yeah, really, really nice. Oof. Nice one. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah. Yeah, this is game over because I lose an exchange. Whatever I do, let's say I take here, then takes, the rook moves away somewhere, and then check. And then it's over. Extremely good game. I'm going to analyze this. Yeah, this was really instructive for me. Congratulations to my opponent. Really well played. See you in the next one, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.